Hi, welcome to the Hustle Diaries. My name is Amira Shah, and today we have a very special guest. Young and dynamic, she runs a successful business that spends money from the alphabet. In addition to being a successful entrepreneur at such a young age, she spends time mentoring aspiring entrepreneurs like myself, guiding them through their journey from early on. She has been a speaker at many events such as TEDx and featured in publications like Vogue. If you have guessed the business of calligraphy, hers is one of the first names that will come up. Let me introduce you to none other than Sanjana Chatlani, founder and creative director at the Bombay Lettering Company. How are you today?
Hi, Myra. I'm good. And thank you so much for having me. I'm
My pleasure.
super excited for our chat today.
Great. So I just want to let you know that Hustle Diaries is sort of has like the same aim as what you had into talking to entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, to help aspiring and budding teenagers like myself understand their advice that they give and think of this more like a conversation rather than an interview.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. So our very first segment is called KYE or Know Your Entrepreneur, and this is where we get to know you as a person. So you graduated from Mumbai and then went to London for further studies, but then chose a very different path just as you were about to finish your course. Can you tell us a little about that and what went through your mind at that time?
Yeah, so I finished my ICSE from JB Pettit.
Okay.
And I then went to BD Somani to do my IB. Like every kid doing the IB, it was just an obvious thought to go abroad to study. And I think I was very keen on doing my undergrad abroad. So I was excited. I decided to apply to a few colleges between the US and the UK. In hindsight, I should have most definitely gone to the US. I think that was meant for me. But of course, I ended up going to the University of Nottingham.
Okay.
And I started my undergrad and I was doing business management. Honestly, at the age of 18, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And business management just felt like the safest path to
Yeah,
take.
like the option. Yeah.
Like a very safe
option. Yeah.
6 months in, I realized that
This is not
for me. I think it was very dry, quite boring. Realized I'm a lot more creative, and I think I needed something
that express like your creative side.
very much. And I realized, I thought about it and I said, I can continue this, have a great time, because I was in the UK. As you know, everybody always just has a great time at uni, especially in the UK. It's a lot of fun. But I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like I was really making full use of my time away. I wasn't feeling challenged enough. I did feel like I wasn't getting the international exposure that I would have liked for.
Yeah.
And it was a really hard decision because I was 18. It was probably the biggest decision I had to make at that time. And I spoke to my parents and I said, I know you're going to kill me because I was so keen to go abroad. And I said, but having been here a couple of months, I don't think this place is for me. I don't know what I want to do, but I think I want to come back, reassess a bit, and then reapply to colleges and really see what it is that I want to do.
Yeah.
And of course, at the time, they were convincing me not to. And they were just like, you're going to lose another year. Just don't worry about it. Just finish your undergrad. You can always think of something for your master's. And I said, no. This is not feeling right. And I was very strong with my gut. And I knew that if something felt a little amiss or a little, I should just go with it.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard, but I decided to come back. Everybody at the time thought I was crazy. All your friends are like, oh my God, she's coming back from uni.
Oh my God.
And I didn't even know what I'd do because I'd never explored like studying in India. I came back and I decided to intern at an event company for about 8 months.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed myself. I learned a lot about the event industry. I was working with a company called Percept, and they do corporate events. They do a music festival called Sunburn. And I actually really liked my time there working and interning. And in that time, while I was there, I started looking at colleges. I realized that the US was now not an option for me because I would have lost another year and then going for 4 years. And so I said, okay, that's out. I started looking at courses in the UK again. but then happened to stumble upon a course in India at Mumbai University called the Bachelor's in Mass Media. And
Okay.
it sounded interesting. I liked the sound, the subjects, it was creative, it was interesting, and I just told myself, I said, you know what, maybe I'll be here for 3 years, study at Mumbai University, and then go for my postgrad.
Okay.
And somehow that happened, and it wasn't my ideal path, but I
Yeah.
kind of just went with what felt right in the moment,
Yeah.
and it all just worked out really well. Of course, I regret a little bit. I regret having that undergrad experience abroad.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the years after, made up for it in many, many ways.
Wow, that's quite fascinating. Your entire like journey from where you went to UK and then you came back.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I think sometimes things don't always work out as per plan.
Yeah, but I mean,
and
like it's somehow
okay,
like you find
and
your
everything
way.
just aligns
Yeah,
and it works
yeah.
out. Because when you look back and you're able to connect all the dots, you're just like, this made so much sense.
It just like somehow like
It just did.
happened. Yeah.
And I also feel like a lot of times it's making the most of where you are.
Yeah.
You know, you can be studying in the best universities but probably not making much use of your time, or you could be somewhere that you didn't expect yourself to be but really do a lot in that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. So you come from a business family and yet have spoken of working under someone before you started. So I know you worked at Hennessy for 3 years.
Yeah.
Have there been any like role models that like inspired you?
Yeah, so I think I was quite sure that I wanted to work for a company or like a global company. When I was during my undergrad, I thought that I was enjoying marketing, I was enjoying brand management, the sound of it, and I wanted to work for a luxury firm. And that's actually how I got my first job at Moet Hennessy. And I was doing marketing for their wine, basically it's the wines and spirits division of
Yeah.
LVMH. And I think my time there taught me so much about work ethic, learning under people, learning how to work with different kinds of people, basic discipline, just
Yeah.
understanding how to be in a professional sense and setting. And so I think for me that was a really, really helpful,
Like building steps.
building steps
Yeah.
to then starting my own business or even continuing in the professional world. My own boss was a great role model to me. She was brilliant. She was creative. She was the head of marketing for our division. She really taught me how to be extremely thorough with anything and everything that you do, and always trying to be 2 steps ahead of where you should be,
Yeah.
and making sure that you know more than you should know, always. And and those really helped me, because she would randomly come to me and ask me questions about our inventory or our product or what's happening at our winery, and she'd expect me to know these answers immediately.
Yeah.
And I also saw the kind of passion she worked with, and that was really inspiring to see that even though it may not be your own business, I think some of the best employees out there are people who treat the companies they work for as their own.
Yeah.
And that's something I tried to do when I was at Moet Hennessy, and I love to see some people in my team do that. Because it's only when you treat something like your own can you give it
Like your
everything.
100%. Yeah.
And your best work comes out
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
time.
True.
So yeah, I mean, working for a French company was amazing, because there were great inspirational role models, from like
Yeah.
my boss to our global heads, and it was a great exposure overall. At home, of course, my dad's been a great role model to me. Him and I are very close, and we got even closer as I began to work and get into the professional world, because then him and I connected a lot more on a professional level also. So he's someone I always look at, go to for advice as well. Yeah.
Nice. And I remember we had a conversation previously
Yeah.
where you had said that there was one particular calligrapher also who really inspired you, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So, after I discovered calligraphy while I was working at Moet Hennessy, I was always creative. Never thought I could professionally take on an art form or anything like that. But when I did start doing calligraphy, I think I was very lucky to have stumbled across a retreat that was happening in Tuscany. I think I told you about this.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know, but the teacher like who was conducting this retreat was one of the best in the world. And she's a master penman, and there are very few master penmen in the world. And it was 1 week with her. She's Italian as well, and it was 1 week with her in Italy. Our connection when we met, there was just like this instant connection. She's 35 years older than me, but we just got on like a house on fire. I have learned what passion means because of her, being passionate about your craft and your art form. She's a huge inspiration to me. Her name is Barbara Calzolari. She's an Italian calligrapher, and I think I've been inspired by different people for different things. She's someone who inspires me in a way of just passion. To show you how you need to eat, sleep, breathe, drink what you're doing and feel it in your bones, literally, because she's like that.
Yeah.
But then there have been people in the business world who've inspired me from the sense of being an entrepreneur and running a business. You may not find a role model, everything you're looking for in one person.
But you did like the best qualities.
You may get bits and pieces from different people. So from Barbara, I take on the passion, the love, the hunger to keep learning, So that's something I've really taken on from her as well.
Wow, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So what are the traits you developed during your formative years that you think are helping you today the most? You spoke a bit about it, but like, are there like any other traits in particular?
Yeah, I feel like while growing up in school as well, I was always very over enthusiastic. I was always the person taking charge of things. I was house captain in both schools. I enjoyed leading people. I enjoyed bringing a team of people together. I think those are things I see in myself today as a business owner as well.
Yeah.
I like the idea of building something bigger than me, I feel. And I feel like in school, that was me as well. I was always the person in charge of things or taking the initiative.
I mean, leadership is the key quality for entrepreneurship.
So I think the sense that those leadership qualities, I guess I could see in myself as early on as well. I think I've been a perfectionist, but I also feel like calligraphy actually as an art form, since I started learning it, which it's been 7 years now, has made me more focused. As it's really helped me as an art form to be like attention to detail. To be present in the moment, to focus on the now. And it's funny when I say that, but it's actually things that have helped me in other skills as well, and other things
not
I
just
do in
calligraphy.
life. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel that's also helped me in different ways.
Wow, so something as calligraphy has helped you like in other forms in your life too.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's not answering the question of like
formative
years, but it's actually something that I've seen trickle into other aspects of my life. Like it's made me more patient as a person.
Yeah.
For sure. Because you require so much patience when you're doing this as an art form as well. And I have been able to see that, in everything I do.
And I mean, patience and leadership, like you said, are like one of the key things that a person needs to sort of start a business or start whatever they want to do or what they're passionate about.
Yeah. I think it's like a combination of so many things. Some people say, oh, like what are the few things you feel are most important? And of course you need to be passionate about something, but I think it's not only passion. It's so many other things. Like it's also just showing up every single day.
Yeah.
No matter
it's like
what.
the little things also.
It's all of it together.
Yeah. Great, fantastic. So the second segment is called Shop Talk, and this is where we get to know your company a bit more. So can you tell our viewers a little about your company because it's based in calligraphy and design, and how the Bombay Lettering Company came into being?
Yeah, sure. So, like I started working at Moet Hennessy, and I was very excited to climb up the corporate ladder. It was a great company to work for. I actually thought I'd do a couple of years, go for my MBA, probably work abroad. I had this whole plan in my head until one day I saw a calligrapher in our office. There was this elderly gentleman who came and he was writing on all these cards because we were sending out some gifts to some celebrities and influencers, and every time any luxury company, now not even luxury companies, a lot of brands do this. When they send out a gift, they like to send a handwritten
Like a
message
personalized
in
message,
calligraphy,
yeah.
because it shows effort, it shows warmth, it shows luxury. And so we had this gentleman who was writing away, and I said, oh my God. I remember taking a class of calligraphy, and probably when I was in the 6th grade or something, but that's it. I didn't even think it existed as a career or, career path or something like that. And so I would see him come, then I would go and sit and like watch him write. And I used to, and I didn't even realize this, but when I was at work, when you're sitting in a meeting, I would sometimes just doodle in my notebook or in my diary. And I wouldn't draw, I would actually write stuff. I would like try and write motivational quotes or affirmations or like
I just make doodles in my notebook.
I used to try and like write out quotes or like words basically. And then when I saw this, I started looking online and I started follow calligraphers on Instagram, and I realized that there were barely any in India, and mostly who I could find online were in the US and in Europe. And then it's like a rabbit hole. It starts sucking you in. And so I started looking at all these different artists. I saw that, there are calligraphers in the US who work only for weddings, and they do wedding calligraphy. Like they're known as commercial calligraphers because they do a lot of work for weddings. There were calligraphers who worked for all these brands and for corporates. Then I saw that there was a calligrapher who was the chief calligrapher at the White House. And I was like, oh my God, this is a real thing. And so it blew my mind. That's how I started looking online, and I happened to find a calligrapher in California, and I was going for a family holiday to San Francisco. So I reached out to her and I asked her if I could do a private, one-on-one like session with her, and she agreed, and I was very excited. And so I went, I did this 5-6 days sort of little course with her. She introduced me to the right tools, the right books, the right places to look at and what to do. And the style of calligraphy that I was learning with her, it was called pointed pen calligraphy. Not common in India at all. You couldn't even buy the tools for it in India. And so it was very unique and very different for everybody over here. And when I came back, I started practicing and practicing and practicing. And I made an Instagram account just for fun, to document my work, to see what I can do with it. And even at that point, there was no plan of ever doing this professionally. I just thought it was something cool and fun that I found for myself, and I was enjoying it. So that's actually how it started. And I made the Instagram account and I called it the Bombay Lettering Company.
I was just going to ask, was it called that or not?
So I did call it that. I was thinking of what I should call it. I really spent a couple of days on it. And I said, who knows, one day if I had to build something out of it, at least it has the word company in it. So why not? Let's go for it. And because even then I thought that, like I told you, the idea of building something always excited me, but I just didn't know what. And that's how I started the Instagram account. And it was really through posting pictures of my work online, being really curious, attending more workshops. And I was doing all of this on the side of my full-time job.
Wow.
Yeah, I very much had my job, and I was doing this as like just a passion project. Until I started getting inquiries from people who asked if they could avail of my services. And I didn't know how to charge anybody. And I said, no, don't worry, I'll do it for you for free. And they said, what? No, please, we want to pay you for this. And I didn't know how to charge someone. But I did. I took on my first project, and small projects, which were purely just calligraphy. So it could have been like handwritten messages for someone's gifting. It could have been like place cards for a sit-down dinner, or a handwritten menu card, or really small things like that. And that's how it started for me. One thing just led to another. And it was about a year into doing it on the side, in 2018, that I had to take the decision to pick a path. And again, I was going back to my Nottingham moment when I had to decide. I was like, oh my God, I've reached a point where I had to make this really tough decision, because I actually loved my job as well. And I loved what I was doing with Bombay Lettering. But I realized that I can't do both. So I had to pick. And it was a very thought out decision, because I realized that I was making more money on the side doing calligraphy
Okay.
than my job. And that was also a little bit of a push to be
Yeah,
like,
of course, yeah.
oh, okay, so if I am making money doing this just as a side thing,
Yeah.
I could see potential if I had to actually build it into
And
a
it can
full-time
expand
business.
even further. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I decided to quit my job around mid 2018 and I went full time with the Bombay Lettering Company.
Wow, great.
Yeah. Well, in a nutshell, not really, but that was the sort of how it came to being and how I quit my job to go full time with this.
Okay. Wow. So clearly you have carved a niche for yourself. What does competition look like for you and how do you deal with it? You said like there are very few calligraphers in India.
Yeah.
But do you think like calligraphy in India is such a competition, or like I'm sure there must be some competitors. So how do you sort of deal with that?
So when I started in 2017 and 2018, there were very, very few people doing calligraphy.
Okay.
And nobody had built a business out of it.
Okay.
You'd be an artist on your own.
Yeah.
Nobody had a team of people. Nobody,
Yeah.
and the audience or the consumers or the customers wouldn't have even imagined that one could build a business around calligraphy.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I started, I think I had a little bit of a first mover's advantage. I think that really helped. I definitely had to educate my audience because people didn't know better. And I had to always visually show people what it is I could do for them.
Yeah.
Because even today, there are good artists who do calligraphy. But if they write out a word or your name beautifully and post a picture on Instagram, you'd look at it and say, wow, but you don't know how you can avail of that person's services.
Yeah.
But if I had to write your name or your family name in a beautiful way, get it laser cut and fixed against a teak wood base and say, hey, I can make nameplates for your home. Then your mind starts thinking and you know that you can buy that from me or you can use it. So for me, it was always about showing people how they could avail my services or incorporate calligraphy or personalization in the form of gifts or in the form of something they're doing. And that's how I ended up becoming a commercial calligrapher because I started doing work for corporates, for weddings, for brands, for specific occasions. So I had that little bit of a first mover's advantage. I think there was a very little competition, but not so much. My parents and friends think I created my own competition by teaching because I started teaching calligraphy as well. But I feel like the more we are, the bigger our industry and market will become as well. So I've never really looked at it as competition because anyway, we're such few of us. I try and look at it as a community of artists, and I always try to instill that in people through our community on Instagram as well. So I've never really looked at anyone as competition. And I tell my team this also. I keep saying that the only ones we need to look at is ourselves, how we were yesterday and where we're going to be tomorrow. And what's happened over the years for Bombay Lettering in a very interesting way is that even though I started as a calligrapher, we've very organically expanded into becoming a design studio.
Yeah.
Because my own clients would come to me saying, Sanjana, yes, you're doing the calligraphy for these cards, but I would much prefer for you to design the card and print the card as well.
Okay.
Because people want you to be the one-stop solution. They don't want to go to multiple places.
Of course, yeah.
And I had a client who would come to me very often for work, and she was getting married. And she said, Sanjana, I'm getting married. I love your aesthetic and I love your style. Will you design my wedding card? And I said, no, I'm sorry. We don't do designing of wedding cards. That's a whole other world. She said, don't worry, it's fine. I'm happy to be your guinea pig, but I want you to design my wedding card.
Okay.
And that was when I hired my first graphic designer. That was when we got an illustrator. We found printers. We did everything. And honestly, that's one of my favorite invites we've designed till date. And this was in 2018. And so now we're a design studio. We look into the designing, the printing, the packing, and the calligraphy and personalization for all kinds of stationery items. This could be for weddings, it could be for corporates, it could be for basically any kind of celebration or event for which you need
calligraphy,
stationery, not just calligraphy.
Actually, true.
So now calligraphy has become one of the many services we offer.
Yeah.
So what's actually nice is it's put us in a pretty unique spot where I don't have direct competition. because of calligraphers may be some competition,
But now
then
you
there
have,
are
like,
wedding
other
card
services to
designers who are
offer.
also competition.
Yeah.
But then there are graphic design studios. So we do a little bit of
All.
3 or 4 kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't have anyone today in India who I can say this is a direct competition for me.
Yeah.
And it works. I like it, and the team loves it. I think there's never a dull or boring day because there are different kinds of projects we're working on. So yeah, it's been a fun and interesting journey, challenging in some ways because you have to also educate your audience, explain to them why you're charging the way you do because it's hand done. But in terms of competition, I try not to look at it as competition at all. I just try and look at it as a community. And we all just try and build and grow together because I also feel there is enough and more room for everybody to get business.
I really like that. Not competition, but community.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So, being young and a woman, have there been specific challenges you faced while on this journey?
No.
No?
I don't think so. I haven't. I know a lot of women talk about facing certain hurdles as being women founders, women entrepreneurs. Maybe it's just I've been lucky. I don't know. But actually, I feel like sometimes being a woman has been advantages for me.
But that's great.
And I've, touch wood, never really felt anything in terms of, a disadvantage at all. I do feel like my Hindi not being very great has definitely sometimes been a problem. And maybe just the fact that I didn't have any kind of a business or finance background or foundation.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur or a business owner, I do feel like, that's something you should have.
So I feel like now, sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like now that you have like done this for like 7-8 years, like you said, I feel like now you have got that
100%.
sort of.
I've gotten better over the years, and yes, you learn on the job, and nothing beats learning on the job.
Yeah.
You can take courses, you can go to do your masters, your MBA, everything, and all that's great. But I feel like the kind of learning you get while being on your job is invaluable.
Yeah.
So
because that's hands-on.
It's completely hands-on, and but having said that, I feel like as an entrepreneur running an art-related business, there are lots of hats that you're wearing and lots of roles you're juggling.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm an artist, but I'm also the business owner, and trying to find that balance sometimes is what's tricky. Sometimes businesses have co-founders, where 2 different people bring in very different attributes and different strengths to the table.
Yeah.
For me, it was just me, and sometimes, I know I'm digressing a bit, but sometimes it can be very lonely as well being an entrepreneur, because you're doing a lot of things on your own. At, like, all the time.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that's talked about. Like, everyone talks about entrepreneurship to be like a really positive thing, but what you did talk about is something that I think if it is more spoken about, it would be good, because I feel like it's the first time that I'm also like understanding this perspective that being a founder by yourself means that you have to wear so many hats, means that you have to do everything by yourself.
Yeah. You're making decisions, multiple decisions every single day.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people around me also don't understand, and a lot of passionate business owners will resonate with what I'm saying maybe, but when it's your baby and when you've really built it from scratch, your mind is never switched off. Like, you're always
on. You're always thinking about that.
You're always thinking about it.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons, and especially converting your passion into your profession. Some people are like, wow, that's so amazing. And I said, it's amazing, but it's also, sometimes it can be a problem because work always feels like play. So you sometimes never know where to draw that line also.
Like, work hard, play hard, but it's both.
Yeah, it's all of it together. But yeah, I think being an entrepreneur is exciting. There are pros and cons. There are days you're just like, wow, this is the best thing ever. And then there are days where you're like, what have I decided to do? And why am I doing this? And it's so, in a day, I'll have good news, bad news, good news, bad news. So before I can process my emotions for the good, something bad happens. And before I can process my emotions for the bad, something good happens. But it's an amazing roller coaster, for sure.
Nice. Wow. So now that you look back, would you have done anything different? You did say that maybe you could have gotten more like the business skills and financial skills, but anything else in specific?
Um, no, I think I'm happy with the pace we're going at. I sometimes think that maybe I could have grown faster if I hired more people.
Yeah.
But I also know that what I'm doing is, it's an art and creative based, skill based business.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is beauty in taking things slowly and
yeah.
going at a pace that
very
works
niche.
for you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be that startup that's just like churning things out. I feel like a lot of our clients come to us because of the fact that we're boutique, because of the fact that we look at every little like
Yeah.
that detail,
Yeah.
and we give that attention to every client we work with also. So I think I'm okay. I think I'm happy. I'm excited for what's ahead.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, yeah, the
I
journey.
mean, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Because you're just looking at the future. What's next?
Yeah, I try not
Yeah.
to dwell on the past.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
then I feel like you can get really caught up in being
And
like,
then
I should have done this
exactly,
differently. I
that's
should
when
have
that
done
wouldn't
this.
really
I
help
could have
you.
done this better.
Yeah.
But right now it's just like, okay, let's take whatever learnings we want.
Learn from the past
And then
and
just keep
implement it in the
applying it.
future.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice. So this is footage that has never been seen before. So Sanjana has been really kind and allowed us to see how the master works and does what she does. So let's just take a look. Okay.
Okay, so a little nerdy technical stuff about calligraphy.
Okay.
The styles I do, there are different styles of calligraphy.
Yeah.
So under every language as well, and there are different scripts. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
So when you hear the word font, that's something that's on the computer.
Yeah.
So, and when you're writing by hand in a calligraphy way, we
Yeah.
call it a style or a script.
Okay.
So I do a couple of styles,
Okay.
and there are primarily two worlds
Okay.
of Western calligraphy.
Okay.
So there's this world, which is called the pointed pen calligraphy world,
Okay.
and this is the broad edge calligraphy.
Okay.
And both have very different styles. So the style I'm going to do today is actually with the pointed pen.
Okay.
And pointed because the nib over here is pointed, and broad edge because it actually has a flat broad edge.
Okay,
And there are
got
different angles you use, there are different positions you'd hold it in, there are different rules.
Yeah.
It's actually quite technical
Okay.
as an art form. So the style I'm going to do is called copper plate calligraphy.
Okay.
And just think about going back a couple hundred years where you have to dip your nib into a pot of ink. So what I'm actually doing is dipping my nib into a pot of ink.
Okay.
And like I mentioned earlier, it's very slow. There's a lot of patience because you want to really feel every stroke that you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm working on something that's called a guideline.
Okay.
And these are, when you're learning calligraphy, you practice on these guides because they help you build your muscle memory.
Okay, got it.
Because it's all about repetition and creating those same strokes again and again and again. So, everything I do is based on the pressure. So my thin and thick strokes every time I come down, it's thick, and every time I go up, it's thin.
Yeah.
And that's based on the pressure. So when I'm going up, I'm actually not applying any pressure.
Yeah.
And when I'm coming down, I'm actually applying pressure, so my nib opens up.
Ah, okay. Got it.
And what's really interesting is that when we write, when I'm teaching, people tend to hold their breath. But actually, it's quite the opposite because you want to focus on your breathing, your inhale and your exhale. And that actually helps get your hand a little more steady as well. And it can feel very, very meditative and very therapeutic.
Oh my god. That doesn't look like that you actually like wrote that. Oh my god, that actually looks so
So like
cool.
every different style I was telling you has different rules. This style that I did has certain rules that we follow. So like I told you, the thin up, thick down,
Yeah.
following a specific angle. So this style is written at 55 degrees. So you're constantly practicing to write. That's what these
Okay.
slant lines are.
Okay.
It gives you that 55-degree angle.
Angle. Oh, okay,
And,
got it.
You have to constantly be writing at that. No one's going to come with a protractor and measure it and be like, oh my god,
Yeah.
is it 53, 50? But it's just that everything has to stay parallel to each other.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever my students ask me a question, a lot of times my answer is really, it's just practice. Because it actually is
It's just practice, yeah.
And it's mindful practice. Because you need to, be very mindful of every stroke you're creating.
Yeah.
And you want to be fully in control of your tool.
Yeah.
And not the other way around.
Yeah.
And be able to build that command over the style you're learning. Yeah. And so
Nice.
this is really just how it starts. This is purely the writing bit of it. As you know now, being a calligrapher who's built a business around it, there are amazing ways in which we can translate this writing
Yeah.
from paper onto different surfaces as
Yeah.
well. Whether it's digitizing it and then laser cutting it or printing it or foiling it. The possibilities are endless.
Endless. Wow.
And what's really interesting is that it's not a font, so it's not something you'll see online. It's almost custom drawn in a way that it's super
original.
unique
Yeah.
and it's super original, and that's what makes it interesting when we weave it into design, because you're giving someone something quite different that they've not seen.
Yeah. Just customized to them.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. So now we will be seeing where the actual magic happens. So,
Okay.
shall we
Let's
head?
go. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You can lead the way.
Okay. All right. So I must warn you, this room is our, it's the room we do everything in. Everybody ends up packing, sorting, creating, drafting, drawing. It's the room I try to keep as clean as possible, but it's never ever clean. It's where the mess is, but it's really where all the magic is as
happens,
well.
Yeah.
So currently there's a lot going on. We have a huge shipment going to Dubai for a wedding. We have another wedding happening in New Delhi. So we have all the invitations for that. I like to store a lot of our stuff in everything over here. And it just, it makes it fun for the team as well to come and sit and just spread down and just work.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third segment is called Speed Slam.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you questions and you have to answer without like thinking much about it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So the first question is,
Yeah.
you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So rank between the following factors that you think make a business successful: strategy, innovation, entrepreneurship, which is the risk-taking ability, cost effectiveness, marketing, and sales. Do you want me to repeat them again?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Strategy,
Yeah.
innovation,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, cost effectiveness, marketing, and sales.
Can I add one more word into this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll start with passion.
Okay.
I'll move into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I'll then move into strategy, innovation, or innovation strategy,
Yeah.
marketing and sales. And for something like what I do, cost effectiveness would then probably be at the end.
At the end.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving on to question 2. What was your first job and do you remember how much it paid?
Yeah, my first job was at Moy, Tennessee, that I told you. I started as an unpaid intern. So let's say I paid to go there and actually be there for the first 6 months.
Okay.
My first salary officially while I was there was like 30,000 rupees or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there for 3 years. So then it got a bit better. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So what does a day off look like for you?
It's really funny you asked me this because I was talking to a friend just yesterday and I said, a day off means I need to be out of this city. Because if I'm in Bombay, it's never a day off. There's either work calls or something happening. And it's just very natural for me to even walk into the office on a Saturday or a Sunday and maybe do something for myself and not client related work.
Yeah.
Because I end up studying or just doing a calligraphy piece for myself.
Yeah.
And I try not to do client work on the weekends, but I'm still doing some work,
Yeah.
which is maybe just for myself or my growth or my studying or whatever. But a real day off for me happens when I'm traveling or when I'm outside, because that's when I'm actually a little just away from everything.
Away from everything.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, what are the last 3 books you have read or movies that you have watched?
I used to be a very non-fiction kind of person and only read business-related books until I recently realized that I need to start reading more fiction because I think it really helps, and a good balance between both is great. So I'm currently actually reading a book by Sally Rooney called Normal People.
Okay.
I've just started that and I'm really liking it. I recently read this book called The E-Myth, which was actually very interesting for entrepreneurs and business owners. So the last book I read was Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and I really liked that book. So 2 non-fictions, 1 fiction. And in terms of shows and movies, what was the last one? I actually watched a pretty dark show recently called Monsters.
I've been
on
wanting to watch
Netflix.
that. I've been wanting to watch that.
And I like watching shows or movies that are based on true stories or true events.
Yeah.
I really enjoy them for some reason. But off late, all the free time I've been getting, I've also been trying to listen to podcasts and read a little bit about, because there's so many calligraphy books I want to read also.
Yeah.
So it's also trying to be like, can I get more hours in the day? I can just try and do a little bit of everything. But yeah.
Nice. And the last question is, I know you love traveling, so what are your top 3 travel destinations?
Ooh, I love traveling. I'm also a big solo traveler. There are also certain places that are great for solo traveling and certain places you obviously want to go with friends or family. But some of my favorite places that I've been to recently have been Italy, definitely.
Okay. Beautiful.
Florence has been one of my favorite places. Florence and Rome, I just loved it. I recently actually went to Stockholm last month, and I'm falling in love with Scandinavia.
So pretty.
Yeah, I did Copenhagen last year and Stockholm this year, and it's just it's magical and it's really stunning. But a very comfort, easy, never go wrong kind of destination for us is Thailand. It's eat
You
close
can't
to
go
home.
wrong.
You can't go wrong. I'm a big foodie, so just going there for a couple of days of amazing food, a little bit of shopping, it's a good getaway.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so this brings us to our last segment, Learn from the Master. And this is where it's going to be more direct, where you'll give advice to our aspiring and budding entrepreneurs. So considering you started your business at a young age, and you also motivate aspiring entrepreneurs to sort of continue their own entrepreneurial journey, what would your advice be in terms of a starting point to others who want to join a similar path?
There's a lot that could be packed into this. I feel something that really worked with me in the beginning, I think you have to be a little fluid and just allow yourself to go with the flow and just learn from everything that comes your way. I also feel like you have to be extremely curious and extremely hungry for the experience, for the knowledge, for the learnings, for getting your hands dirty and trying everything. Because I feel like it's only until you try will you learn. It's only until you fall down, pick yourself back up and go on is really how you learn. So I feel like a lot of times people are a bit scared, they hold back. You need to be 200% in, and you need to really have that sense of, that passion, like I said. But I feel like it's also a little bit of, the word I like using is grit, because it's passion as well as perseverance.
Yeah.
So you need to be perseverant to show up every day, no matter what.
Exactly.
And really be that invested in it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have that from the beginning, that will to keep going, I think that's sometimes half your battle won. So I do like to tell people that, you really want to find something that you're super passionate about, and you can do it on days that you don't want to do it, or the days you don't feel like doing it as well, because it becomes your business and you have to do it no matter what. Another thing I do like to tell people is try and get a little experience before you start your own thing. Because I really feel like working under someone first is a great way to start and then move on to building your own business or starting your own thing. But there's a lot of value and a lot of learnings that come into working for someone else first. For sure. And I think it's also about being a little realistic. You may be extremely passionate about something, but are you good at it? Is something you got to ask yourself. Like, I love tennis. I play tennis 3 times a week, but I'm super passionate about it. But I was obviously very realistic and real about the fact that I cannot become a professional tennis player. Not the best example, but what I'm trying to say is I think we need to be realistic about the possibilities and weigh them down like quite, sensibly as well.
Yeah. I mean, even what you talked about grit, and I feel like people in my generation especially, like, the minute they are hit with probably like failure or something of like where it goes downhill, they tend to give up. And I feel like people need to understand that, like, I'm specifically talking about people in my generation. It's not like anyone's company. When you want to become an entrepreneur, you're just going to be hit with like immense amount of success. Like, it's going to take time. What you said previously also, patience is something that
there's no such thing as overnight success. It's many years, and one day something may happen where the light shines on you, but that doesn't mean it was an overnight success. And also I keep telling people, move out of your comfort zone, because nothing good happens when you're sitting in comfortable waters. You have to feel uncomfortable. You have to feel like you're in a slightly...
You have to take those risks.
You have to. You have to be in those areas where you're trying, you're experimenting, you're taking risks. It's not feeling easy. It's it's kind of challenging, but that's really where you see growth, because your growth will not happen when you're sitting comfortably doing something that's not challenging you. You know?
Interesting. Okay. So what are the common mistakes that one should avoid?
I think chasing money very early on has been, especially for someone who's doing something art or skill based, I feel would not be the right sort of way to go. For me, even when I get younger people asking me how they could build a business out of calligraphy or any art form, my first piece of advice is just study this art form truly and honestly and sincerely. Give it a year, give it 2 years. See how you enjoy it. See how passionate you are about it. See how good you become with it. Because only once that's there can you think about monetizing it, or can you think about building a business around it. Because, as artists today, the minute you decide to commercialize your craft, you have to actually get way better at it also, because you're not starting to charge people. And so I feel like just having that sense of learning something deeply is the first step. But a lot of people try thinking about, how much money can I make doing this? Is it profitable?
They rush into
and they rush into thinking about how much money they can earn, rather than actually focusing on getting good at it. For me, I've always felt like money has been a byproduct. If you work hard, if you're honest and diligent with what you're doing, and you're sincere, and you're striving for excellence every single day, there's no reason why the money shouldn't follow.
If there's passion, there will be money
there's,
with it.
like I said, the combination of all those things, and I feel like the money follows. So I do feel like when you're trying to do something creative or artistic, you want to first focus on the creativity and artistic side of it, and get so good at it that you are really trying to be the best at that. So I feel that's something.
And that does involve time. It's not gonna come like...
100%.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if someone wants to just get into it, like for you also took so much time, like people should either devote that time or start,
because no one
from
wants
like an
to
early
give,
age.
No one wants to give it time.
When
I had asked Barbara, my teacher, when I said, so what should I do now, when I went to Italy for the course, she said, you're going to go back and you're going to study and you're going to practice. It's going to take you 5 years, it's going to take you 10 years, and year on year you'll see yourself get better. And in that moment I was like, what? But today, 7 years in, she was bang on, because I have seen the growth and the development in myself as an artist, as a business owner, all of it, right? And it just keeps getting better. But I think you gotta think of it, and I tell people this as well, like, we're in it for the long haul. You're not here to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
And if you are, your business is not going to survive.
It's not.
It's all about thinking long term, and it's all about having that patience and faith and trust. At least that's how I've looked at it. So I feel, yeah, one definitely is not chasing the money early on. Early on is about getting the experience, getting your hands dirty, learning, falling, making mistakes, and then just trusting the fact that it will all work out, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, what else?
I mean, like, that's, I think, like, our audience has, like, learned a lot. What
Yeah.
you even said, like, I think what you said, like, just not running after the money and just trusting the process. And if you're passionate about something, the money will simply just follow.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you have to be
Dedicated to it,
dedicated
obviously.
to it. You have
need
to think from the business perspective
Perspective
also,
too. Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But there's a fine balance, I feel.
Yeah, there has to be a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So often artists are associated with being like poor entrepreneurs. So considering your business revolves around creativity and art so much, what would you say to other creative people wanting to start a business?
There was an interview I was listening to recently where
Yeah.
an entrepreneur was talking about how you need to identify what you're good at and what you're not so good at.
Okay.
You should actually be spending most of your day and most of your time doing what you're best at. And a lot of times, as business owners, you have to identify the roles that you need to hire people for and get them in as well.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, we sometimes think that we can do it all.
We can do everything.
And we can learn
Yeah,
everything
exactly,
and try
yeah.
and do everything.
Yeah.
But I've realized that actually that isn't how it should be. You do what you're best at and keep getting better at that. Hire people to do the things you may not be the best at.
Yeah.
Get the best there is
That would
for
give you
that
the best
specific
outcome.
role who can give you
Yeah.
that best
Yeah.
outcome. So, for example, artists, we are known to not be as business oriented or professional as people say. And like we discussed earlier on, that it's not a bad idea to get a co-founder then, where you feel like you bring in you're the creative head
side and they get
you have a business head as well. And if that
Yeah.
works for you and your business, that would be great because
Yeah.
the roles are divided. But if you feel like it's just you, like how I am with Bombay Lettering, I've made a conscious effort to get better at the business side of things. I
Yeah.
attend workshops, I attend talks, I attend seminars, I constantly listen to entrepreneurs talking, I try and get like financial advice from people because I know that's something that does not come to me naturally. And I need to make that extra effort.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, going back to where I spoke about working for someone, I feel like having worked for a company actually instilled a lot of professionalism in me that a lot of artists you may see today don't have. Adhering to timelines, responding to emails in a professional way, delivering on time, being professional in the ways you work, I feel is so important because today you may be the best artist out there, but if you're not easy to work with, people are not going to come to you. They'll go to someone else who's not as good as you, but much easier to work with. And it's a seamless process to work with them.
Yeah.
Because today we are at the end of the day running a business. And so you have to be able to understand that how do you deal with clients? What is that experience you're giving your customers and your clients? How are you putting yourself out there as well? And just the entire gamut of it, from the business side of it to the the artistic side. And I think we're all a work in progress, so we're constantly going to keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Okay. So the last question. So what is next for Bombay Lettering?
Ooh, it's been an exciting couple of years. Like I told you, when I started in 2018, never in my wildest dreams did I think we'd even be a design studio. I always just thought that I'd wing it and go with the flow and see how I feel and maybe become a calligrapher and really focus on the craft of calligraphy.
Yeah.
And maybe just, stay independent forever doing that.
Yeah.
But I kind of, like I said, I was fluid. I went with the flow. I enjoyed the idea of building a team, working on design projects. And so today we are a design studio. We're launching, I don't know if you know this, but we're launching 2025 planners. That's
Okay.
actually our first step into the world of stationery.
Okay.
And that's going to be on our on our website, on our e-commerce, but we're also going to be retailing it from other places,
Okay,
online and
wow.
offline shops.
Great.
So I think the next step that we're very excited about is building our online store. So this is pretty much stationery.
Yeah.
And that's a very exciting avenue for us.
Wow, that's great.
And I think hopefully in the years to come, we'll have a very specific divide between the wedding projects we take on, the corporate work we
Yeah.
take on, and the online store.
It's
So,
great that you have that vision.
yeah, trying to. But I think it's just been fun to go along with it, and just see the way we've molded into what we are. And I think it was important to, I always talk about it in a way that you funnel in and you funnel out. But when I started, I was focusing purely on just calligraphy, and I got really, really good at that.
Yeah.
And then we began to funnel out. And I
yeah.
felt like because we were able to build that credibility with our core of calligraphy, people started trusting us for the other things we
Yeah.
started doing
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And now we're also at a place where we're doing a lot of things. And I might say, hey guys, let's come back in and now think of what are the few things we're amazing at, we're doing
Yeah.
best at, and what can we eliminate now? So we're actually kind of funneling back in
Back to it,
to
yeah.
say, okay, we tried all these different things. Now let's pick the few things we're amazing at and just go all out with that. And we're kind of funneling back in.
Okay.
And I feel like that's
Got it.
also been a couple of years to figure out. And now we're getting into those 3 or 4 core sort of buckets of what we do, and just excited to see where it goes.
Great. Well, this was super fun. Thank you for removing your precious time to come on this interview.
No worries.
And-
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
So
and good luck for all your interviews and the rest of them. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and
Thank
it's
you.
so nice to kind of give a lot of people your age, access to these amazing conversations you're having.
I'm
as a-
sure they were really, truly inspired because even what you told me, like, I've never heard of such things before. So
I'm glad.
that was great.
Thank you.
Cool.